What? The Cavs didn't cover on the road against the spread in the first quarter? What? That's not going to be good. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Jason Mattis, of course, with Winning Bets, giving you guys some free sports picks every single day. I'm excited for today's bets. We've got some good basketball bets, and I've already got some soccer bets for the weekend's action to go ahead and get to you. So let's go ahead and recap yesterday, and then let's get into those bets. Yesterday, we went 2-3, losing a little bit of money, and now adding to our deficit, unfortunately, on the week. Now we're down 4.28 units on the week. Let's go ahead and talk about some of those wins, though. We got Finney Smith up under 11.5 points, played 42 minutes, and ended the game with 3 points. Talked about how just a great defender Dort is. I guess, tailed Dort, depends on how you look at it. We've basically taken the player that's opposed Dort, taken his under. You guys remember we did it earlier on in the week. Now we've just done it there with Finney Smith. Earlier in the week, we did it with Robert Covington, and then again last night we did it with Finney Smith. So look to see who maybe Dort is paired up with next time, and if we get another good favorable matchup, we'll look to go ahead and fade that player. We did not stay under on one of our two first quarter props. We did under 54.5 points in that Wizards versus 76 games. Just missed it by a few points right there. The other one did go over 56.5. That one hit 58 points. So good cash right there. Nuggets versus Jazz. Mentioned it there in the opening. Cavs didn't cover the first quarter spread. First time in a long time. They're now 22-5. In the first quarter in the spread. So just an unfortunate result. We'll look to probably bounce it back and ride those Cavs again the next time they're on the road. And then the dog of the day did not cover because it was a three-legged parlay. Like most parlays, you only lose one leg. The one leg we lost was the Mavs just to win the first quarter straight up. And the Thunder went ahead and beat them in surprising fashion. So yeah, 2-3 on the day, losing a little bit of money, and now down again more up on the week. But we'll get that back. Plenty of time still to go. It's Thursday, folks. Still playing. We got 4 more days of making money before this week ends. All right, let's talk some bets for tonight. Let's kick it off first with the NBA. Talk about NBA first quarter action. Really only 2 games really matched up. It's the Wolves against the spread going on against the Pistons. Then the Warriors against the spread going on against the Kings right there. The Wolves number came in at minus 2.5. Little too much for me. I mean, the number's pretty much bang on, but I don't really like minus 2.5. The Warriors number hasn't come in yet. Imagine it'll be 2.5 or maybe even minus 3.5. So instead of messing around with any point spreads in the first quarter, I'm just going to go ahead and do our famous two-way money line parlay. Unfortunately, I don't have that number for you because the sports books don't have the number up for the Warriors money line. They do have the Wolves. We just don't have the Warriors money line, so we'll add that to it. So look for me a little bit later on Twitter. We'll do a two-way money line. We'll go ahead and do the Wolves and Warriors on a two-way first quarter money line. Whatever price that is to come in, we'll go ahead and back it. The other one, Bulls, Raptors, they got the number bang on, so we'll just pass on all other first quarter action, and we'll just stick with the Wolves and Warriors first quarter money line parlay. I do want to go ahead and get in some full game over-unders. I've been pretty successful with this there on my TikTok. I'm doing that betting challenge. The last 2 nights, I've beat the closing lines. 2 nights ago, I beat the closing line by 6 points. Last night, I beat the closing line by 3 points. Doesn't mean it's translating to results. Last night, I lost the bet due to overtime. If the game ended in regulation, I would have gone and cashed my bet. But where the unders go and die, they die in overtime, and that's exactly what happened. So even though I'm not getting the good results, I'm still putting in good bets and getting good numbers and beating the closing lines. So let's go ahead and do 3 over-unders on full game basketballs right now. Let's go ahead and do Wolves versus Pistons. We're going over 225.5 points, and you can get that at minus 110 over at FanDuel. I've got this game scored at 232 points, so gladly take over 225.5. For the other one, let's do Bulls Raptors under 224.5. I've got this game scored at 220, so we'll go ahead and take under 224.5 at minus 110 over at FanDuel. Then the third one is Heat Spurs under 220.5 points. I've got this one scored at 214 points, so we'll go Heat Spurs under 220.5 points at minus 110. You get all 3 of those over at FanDuel. Let's get in an NBA player prop as well for tonight. Let's go Nikola Vucevic. They're the center there for the Bulls over 29.5 points and rebounds. You can get that at minus 125 over at DraftKings. Look, the Raptors versus the center, it's been really, really poor. Let's just start with what they've done in the last 30 days. They're allowing 18.9 points, 57% field goal percentage, and 16.7 rebounds. The field goal percentage and rebounds ranks in the bottom 5 of the NBA. Let's look at it over the last 2 weeks. Points is about the same at 17.2, but field goal percentage has jumped up to 60.4. Rebounds is the same at 16.7. Still, the field goal percentage and and the rebound is still bottom 5, bottom 8 in the NBA. And we look at what they're doing in the last week. Well, same number of points, 17.9. Field goal percentage has now jumped up to 69.6% field goal percentage, ranking in the bottom 3. And rebounds is also now in the bottom 3, as they're allowing 19.6 rebounds per game to the center. Well, they're going up against Siakam. I mean, they're playing Siakam at the center position. He's getting abused at that center position. So that's why the centers are having their way, a lot lately. On January 26th versus the Raptors, he had 15 rebounds and 17 points, so would have gotten us the cash here. And the reason I went with the rebounds and points versus just the points is at 18.5 at even money. But if you look at his game log, and games in which he doesn't come through in his points and getting you at least 19 points, he makes up the difference in the rebounds and will get over 29.5 points. Now, you'll certainly find a scenario where he won't cash the points and he won't cash points and rebounds, but there are more times than not in his game log where his rebounds would have saved you, and you'd cash the points and rebounds where you would have just crashed and not had a successful bet on the points. So that's why I went points and rebounds. Again, he had 15 and 17 against the Raptors about a week or so ago. The Raptors are playing Siakam at that center position. He should absolutely have his way. So yeah, give me Vujovic over 29.5 points and rebounds at -125 over at DraftKings. There's another NBA player prop I'm interested in, just waiting on the sportsbooks to give us the number. It's Saddiq Bey. I'd love to fade him. Look, in his first game since Jerami Grant is coming back, his shot production only had 10 shot attempts. He was shooting mid-teens, with Grant sidelined due to injury. His first game back went all the way down to 10 shot attempts, went 2 for 10 in that game, so easily stayed under his point prop in whatever game that was. He averaged 17.8 points in the month of January. The sportsbooks will adjust for Grant being back, so they're not going to give us a number around 17, but they give us a number around 13 or so, 12, 14, somewhere like that. I think it's going to be worth taking a stab at it, because you already saw in his first game, Grant comes back to the lineup. He's like, hey, I'm the guy. Give me my shots back. It has to go from somebody. You really saw it come away from Saddiq Bey. He only took 10 shot attempts. So let's see what Bey's number comes in at, but looking to fade Bey tonight is a possibility. Before we end the NBA discussion, let's talk about FanDuel. Let's talk about their Thursday night TNT promotion that they do. Obviously, you can put in a $10 risk-free same game parlay. You go ahead and lose it. You'll just go ahead and get your money back. So because it is risk-free, let's go ahead and get one in. I can't give you the elements, unfortunately, because the sportsbooks don't have the numbers populated, but let me tell you what I'm going ahead and thinking. I'm already locked in on this Suns versus Hawks game. I've got the number scored at 223 total points. Sportsbook came out at 224, so we don't want to mess with that. I am interested to see what the first quarter over-under comes in at. I've got it scored at around the season-long numbers at around 54, 55. The last 10 numbers coming around 58, 58, so let's see what that comes in. The Suns should certainly win the first quarter, so maybe if we don't like the first quarter over-under number, maybe we can just take the Suns in that first quarter three-way money line. Since it is risk-free, we can go three-way. We can like that. Also, if we start looking at player prop potential here for the same game parlay, the Atlanta Hawks, worst defended position is center, albeit it's gotten better since Clint Capella has been back, but it's still their worst defended position. And then their best defended position is point guards. Maybe we can look to fade, Chris Paul in some capacity, tonight as well. For the Suns, they pretty much defend everything about on an average level. You don't find anything that they do bad or good. Everything's really just at a level. So I'm looking at maybe Suns first quarter money line, maybe, a couple player props, or maybe that first quarter, over under, depending on what it is. But definitely going to go ahead and do Suns Hawks. I think this mainly because you got Trae Young. He's questionable, is why we're not getting any props yet. Books want to know if Trae Young's going to play, and then we'll probably get him. So just look for me a little bit later on Twitter. It's at WinningBetsPod. It's at WinningBetsPod. All right, let's go ahead and talk some soccer. And let's start off first with Serie A with the matchup going on this weekend. Let's go ahead and do our famous both teams to score in over 2.5. I know we got tripped up, obviously, in the last time we used that bet in Serie A, but fact is, before that, it's been really successful to us, so I'm not going to let one bad result get us down. Let's go back to the well there. Let's do Sampdoria versus Sassuolo. Both teams are scoring over 2.5 at -126 over at FanDuel. Look, Sassuolo's games are averaging 3.3 goals. Sampdoria's games are averaging 3.0 per goals. Well, let's look at that where they're home and away. Sassuolo, where they'll be away, that bumps all the way up to 3.9 goals per game. And Sampdoria, where they'll be at home in this fixture, that jumps up to 3.4. So both of these teams on average, they allow over 2.5 goals. Then you jump it in their respective home and away, and it does nothing but go up. So really love that. The weird part is when you start looking at these two teams head-to-head, it's only cashed in 2 of the last 5 head-to-heads. Those other 3 of those last 5 head-to-heads have had 2 0-0 games and 1 1-0 game. So really weird here where you either get a lot of goals in this fixture or you don't get a lot of goals in this fixture. We've been successful with this, though, identifying a matchup where 2 teams score a lot, concede a lot, their games are averaging a high number of goals. We've been successful, so we won't I guess let head-to-heads, get us off of here, because 2 of the last 5 head-to-heads, you got easy cashes in this fixture. So we'll rely on that. We'll rely on, 2 teams, at least in this current season, who are scoring and conceding, and see if we can't get both teams to score over 2.5 at -126 between Sampdoria and Sassuolo. Go ahead and cash for us. Let's stay with Serie A for a second here, and let's look at Fiorentina versus Lazio. I love Lazio on this draw no bet at plus money. So do Lazio draw no bet at plus 116. You get that at Bet Rivers. This is really a fade on Fiorentina. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce this striker's name, but he's all in the presses, obviously being linked with a lot of clubs being transferred to the Premier League, mainly Arsenal. It didn't end up happening. He's gone to Juventus. Whatever this guy is, he's a Serbian international. He's a really good guy. He scored 17 of their 41 goals so far on the season, and he scored 17 of the 23 goals being scored by forwards. If you look at all the remaining forwards by Fiorentina, they have 6 registered to their team. They only have a combined 6 goals scored. So this play, we know Lazio scores gold, right? We've taken them in both teams to score. We've taken them in over 2.5. We've taken Ciro and Mobley, be an anytime goal scorer. So this is really just a play on fading Fiorentina now that they've sold their best striker to Juventus. I don't know where goals are going to come from. I don't see Lazio losing this game. So at a draw no bet at plus money at plus 116, I'll go ahead and go ahead and roll with this and see if Lazio can't take one on the road there against Fiorentina. Let's jump it over now to the Premier League and get a bet in for this weekend. There's only one Premier League game this weekend, but it's one that I absolutely love. It's Burnley versus Watford. I'm going under 2.5 goals at -128 over at FanDuel. Just love this. We guys cashed Burnley's last game of under 2.5. They haven't played a whole hell of a lot, to be honest, because they've been dealing with COVID issues. So a lot of their games have been getting postponed. But the last time they played, we cashed under 2.5. Talked about it on the episode there between the posts there with Matt, how this team is just going to sit there and claw their way to 1-point results. They've obviously sold Chris Wood, their best striker. Goals are going to be hard to come by from Burnley, so it's going to be play defensive, don't give them up, and just get 1 point at a time and go ahead and get up out of the relegation fight. So Watford, they've obviously regressed, started really good under Claudio Ranieri. We've seen Watford regress so much that they already fired Claudio Ranieri, and who'd they bring in? Roy Hodgins. What does this guy do? He saves teams from getting relegated. How does he save them? He keeps his games nice and low scoring, claws out a result. So just a perfect dream scenario here of kind of what Watford's going through here with their managerial change and their situation. Combine that with Burnley selling their best striker. They're going to be defensive. So I love under 2.5 in this fixture. So we'll go ahead and bet Burnley Watford under 2.5 at -128. Staying with kind of the Premier League teams, every other Premier League team, or at least ones that we'd be interested in betting in, they're involved in the FA Cup this weekend. I think it's really hard to bet this stuff without lineups because the numbers are terrible. For example, Chelsea team total over 3.5s at plus 126. They're going up against League One Plymouth, but I'd like to see lineups for it. Go ahead and bet that they're going to get 4 goals coming off an international break. That's what makes me most nervous as I'm going to run through these, is that the fact that these guys are coming off international break. If these guys were in middle form of playing club ball, I'd probably pull the trigger on some of these bets, but coming off international break has me really hesitant. Again, Chelsea team total over 3.5. That makes me nervous. West Ham team total over 2.5 at plus 124. They're going up against Nations League team and Kidmeister. I mean, they should smash them, but we need to see lineups. You could also maybe take a clean sheet of West Ham at -118. What about the Crystal Palace team total over 2.5 against League 2 side Hartlepool? I mean, that looks tough right there at -113. Move it on to Manchester City team total over 3.5 against Fulham, a championship side. Should, but hey, coming off international break, you can kind of see why I'm a little bit hesitant here. So anyways, for these FA Cup games, you're going to want to make sure you follow me on Twitter as soon as lineups are out and we know who's going to be involved in these games. We'll look to pull the trigger on some of these games where it's Chelsea, City, Liverpool going up against Cardiff, things like that. Palace, big boy teams that we know going up against lesser sides. Let's see what lineups we get, and then we'll pull the trigger on that. There is one more soccer bet, though, that I'd like to go ahead and talk about before we end this show, and it's in La Liga. It's Getafe versus Levante. I'd like to take over 5.5 cards, but I think I got to get a little strategic in how I'm going to do this because the juice is a little bit too high. I think I saw it as about minus 164. That's above my minus 150 cutoff, but I love over 5.5 cards. It's cashed in four of the last six, or it's cashed in the last four head-to-heads. Sorry, over 5.5 cards is cashed in the last four head-to-heads. It's cashed in 5 of the last 6. And when you go look up the head-to-heads, the cards come in extreme ways. It'll be crazy. Like, these two teams just get after it. It's remarkable. Well, there's a reason they get after it. Getafe is number 2 in cards in La Liga. Levante is number 4 in cards. They average 2.9 and 2.8 cards, respectively, for their two teams. Ref Ruiz, we get like a dream matchup in terms of referee. We get the second most yellow cards per game by Ruiz at 5.9. He calls the second most fouls per game in the La Liga. I mean, just an absolute dream. So I'd love to get some bet in to where I can maybe parlay over 5.5 cards with something, because it just, man, these head-to-heads, go look at their head-to-heads. It's crazy how the yellow cards just come in bunches with these two clubs. Or do I lay off 5.5 cards and put a half unit on that there's going to be a red card? Because again, you go look up the head-to-heads. Red cards have happened in these fixtures. Levante's got tied for the most league with 5 this season. Getafe's right behind them with 3. So maybe if I lay off over 5.5 cards in a parlay, maybe I'll do will there be a red card, put a half unit at that at maybe like +2. I think it was +220. So wanted to go ahead and put that game on your radar because it screams there's going to be a card. It's a little juicy. If you don't mind minus 164, go ahead and bet over 5.5 cards. I think that'll be a lovely hit for you guys. But I'm going to see if maybe I do the red card angle or if I go ahead and do a parlay, but wanted to go ahead and put that one on your radar. All right, we've talked a lot on today's show. Let's go ahead and do the recap to make sure you guys don't miss out on any of these winning bets. Let's go and do Wolves Pistons over 225.5 points at minus 110. Let's do Raptors Bulls under 224.5 points at minus 110. We'll do Heat Spurs under 220.5 points at minus 110. We'll do Vubic over 29.5 points and rebounds at minus 125. We'll do Burnley Watford under 2.5 goals at minus 128. We'll do Lazio draw no bet at plus 116. We'll do Sampdoria Sassuolo. Both teams are scoring over 2.5 at minus 126. And these two question marks here. TNT FanDuel promo. We'll definitely do that. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. And then Sadik Bey. Maybe we'll look to go ahead and fade Sadik Bey, depending on what that number is. All right, guys. Go enjoy your Thursday. Had a lot of fun talking some sports with you guys today. Enjoy it, and we'll see you back here tomorrow. Thanks for watching till the end. I'm Jason Mattis. Any love you can show by giving me a like, a subscription, or a comment, or even just share this video is very much appreciated. And don't forget to turn on your notifications to increase your chances of locking in the same odds as I talked about today. And check out my other great videos in these corners.